guys, my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit and welcome to day 22 of a very merry Jessmas. Today we have another tag video. I haven't done one in a little bit. So this is the eyeshadow palette tag 5000 created by Chic Geek. So she'll be linked down below. There are 10 questions, so I have palettes sitting in front of me. I'm surrounded. Let's get into it. So question number one is a palette you wore on a special occasion. So it wasn't my specific palette, but the makeup artist did my eyeshadow with the Makeup by Mario's palette. This was for my friend's wedding at the end of September. You guys have seen this, but that's what she's looking like. So I pulled this out, but then I thought that I also wore a palette. There was literally like 2, maybe 3 shades out of this palette for my dad's wedding last year. And this is the Dollhouse by Blend Bunny. Now, I really haven't reached for it since, but it was pretty much these 3 shades or even just those 2 that I wore. It was very simple, very pretty. I loved reaching for those 2 shades. I was doing it quite a bit before the wedding, and then that's what I decided like last minute that I was going to wear for the day of, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a black dress, so it worked perfectly. There was no competition, no contrast, no nothing. So it worked very well. It was a very pretty, simple bridal eye, and I adored it. So I decided to pull this one out because I haven't shown you guys this palette very much for anything really. So these 2 palettes were worn on special occasions. Question 2, a palette you love but is repetitive. You guys, you know you're going to agree with me, but the Rose Quartz palette, it is beautiful. I really haven't dipped into very many shades, but knowing what I do enjoy out of this and the Mercury retrograde quality, it's just very, like, all of her palettes are very repetitive in the sense of they are all like the pinky tone neutral browns. I still enjoy it. There's still a lot of like things that I adore about this palette, but it is very repetitive. You have your browns, you have your pinks, and that's pretty much the whole palette. So unfortunately, but you know, it's true. Number 3, a palette you got your money's worth. You guys, you know it. You know it. Besides the palettes that I've completely finished off, this I've definitely gotten my money's worth. I'm not finished with it, so I will be continuing on with this at some point. Maybe I'll roll shades into other projects because I've moved on from my Panning Solitaire palette, which anyways, we're just going to completely ignore what I just did. We're gonna move on. Okay, question number 4 is a palette that was an amazing deal. Now, this one, I get a lot of my higher end palettes like on sale, anywhere between 20 and 40% off. So I just decided to grab one. But Natasha Denona is one of those brands that I will only purchase on sale. And most of them, I think this one was only 20% off during the Sephora VIB sale, but the Love palette, I got 50% off. I just grabbed one. Just to show one. It was the first one that was there. So maybe this palette specifically wasn't the best deal, but Natasha Denona as a whole, I usually get at a great discount. Same with Huda, same with the couple Pat McGrath ones that I have. All my higher end palettes for the most part, if I have more than one, for the most part, I've gotten on a good deal because I'm not paying $90 for one of these palettes. Number 5 is a quad you love and wish was larger. I don't have any quads, and I was trying to think about it, and there's nothing that's really coming to mind that I wish was larger. The only thing, and I don't even know, I think it might be Blend Bunny. If I can find it, I'll put a photo up. I think it's like the Trove palette or something like that. There's 4 multi-chromes. It is extremely expensive. I get that they're multi-chromes, so like if it was larger, I still wouldn't purchase it. But I think just having something a little bit extra in there, even just like a couple extra shades, like some mattes or something that I could like have a complete palette with, that's the only thing I can think of. Other than that, I'm not really thinking of much. I don't own any quads that I can think of. I went through my collection. I didn't see anything unless I missed something, but I really don't think I have anything. So that's what I'm going to go with for that one. Number 6 is a palette. So you love the quality of the eyeshadow palette, but you hate the packaging. I don't hate this packaging, and for the brand, I mean, it was a cute idea. This is the BH Sugar, no, the Sweet Shop palette. This one is in Sugar Cone. I haven't reached for this in a long time, but like when I was using it, I loved the quality of this. It's so nice. And the idea of this is if you were to own all of them, they would create one big ice cream cone, which I think is adorable. Like, I do absolutely love the idea behind that. But when you only have one palette, I mean, I don't hate the packaging. It's just, and I know it's like, was a more affordable brand, so like I get it, but it's, I don't know, not my favorite packaging out of my collection. But I don't absolutely hate it. I don't think I have anything that I hate. So it's just one of my least favorites, that's all. Even though I love the idea. So if I had them all, I'd probably love it even more. Show your dream palette with singles. So a lot of my singles are actually like shimmers or something like that. And I'm not huge into all shimmer palettes. But what I ended up doing was depotting quite a few palettes a couple months back. And I actually have a few that are in here that are not actually magnetic, so I'm going to try to show you guys. I think the color story in here is beautiful. I probably wouldn't actually wear it, so it's not like a dream palette. It would probably take me a while to figure out how to create a dream palette with mainly shimmers when I need some mattes in there. But this is the color story of it anyways, and I think it's really pretty. Like, these are mostly Juvia's Place. A couple of these are Give Me Glow, so they are, you know, the larger shades in here. These two small ones are from ColourPop. This one is from Sydney Grace. But the large palettes, the large pans, I think it's a super pretty color story. Like, I actually really enjoy this. Would I wear this? Probably not, but would I want this in my collection? Absolutely. Just to have that little bit of something different, something to reach for. The many options for a pop of color. I think this is probably like, I just happened to put them in here. I didn't even mean to create it the way that it is, but it's just how it turned out, and I actually really enjoy it. So we're gonna go with that one. Number 8 is palettes you like to combine together. So what I've been doing a lot over the last few months or so is I've been reaching for my Rose Quartz palette and my Glam Light Chocolate Martini palette. I like to wear these two together. Crease, lid, all that sort of thing. I think that these two go really well together, at least for me. A palette that you wish was smaller. So a large palette you wish was smaller. I'm going to go with the Ice Cream Dream palette only because there's shades in here that I'm not going to reach for, and I would probably prefer that they not be in here. Not very many of them, to be completely honest with you, but some of them towards the bottom here. So I feel like a couple of these could probably not have been in here. I understand why they are, but I think for me, it would still be a larger palette, but even if I got rid of like one of these rows, it would be a little bit smaller. Or two of these rows, I might be able to find a couple shades that I'd be like okay without in here. But yeah, there's definitely a few. So I wish this one was just a touch bit smaller without the shades that I won't use. And number 10, an eyeshadow palette you wish had a matching face palette. Now this one took me a bit because I wasn't quite sure. My first palette that I reached for was actually the Melt Gemini palette, and I don't quite know why. Like, I opened it and I was like, a grungy face palette would be so cool. I think I'd actually really enjoy that. But the one that I ended up reaching for is the Violet palette the Violet Étendue palette by Viseart, because it's purple, and because if you guys have heard me in any of my other videos, I've been craving like a dark purple blush, which, I mean, something like that, you know, have something that has like your neutral, like you could wear a bronzer, you've got the browns, the neutrals in here where you can have a bronze, you have a purple blush instead of your typical coral or pink blush, and then have like this shade, something similar to that, or something as your highlight, just like a more, not necessarily a silver highlight, but like a little bit more of like a purpley toned silver highlight, your purple blush, and then your bronzer. I think this would have actually been a really cool face palette now that I like really think about it. But I reached for this one because I've been like itching for that purple blush. Haven't quite found one yet, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to give this one a try and see how that would look on my cheeks. I'll pull it out of here, keep it in a single palette, and just maybe I'll reach for that. We'll have to see how it goes. So that would be the matching face palette that I think I would enjoy. Something a little bit different than your typical pink or coral blush with a bronzer and a highlight. So that is it. Those are all 10 questions. I know I haven't yet. I've been meaning to, but I'm going to type up all the questions, put them in a pinned comment instead of the description box, as well as the other tags that I meant to do that with but haven't yet. I will get around to doing that. I know lots of people have done this tag already, so if you are one of them, let me know and I will go check out your video if I haven't already. And if not, then just answer these down in the comments because I'm super curious about what your answers are and how you feel about some of these things. And that's everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. Day 22 is over. We are moving on to day 23, so I will see you guys all then. Bye!